Hey everybody, and welcome to the Matt Kins Show video. I'm Matt Kins, I'm your host today, and I want to talk today about the downfall of American cities, the big three, LA, Chicago, New York. It's really tragic what's going on in these places right now, and I'm not talking about coronavirus deaths. And yeah, that is tragic when people die from the virus, but I want to talk about the tragedy of the mismanagement of these great places that hold great cultural significance in our country. First of all, in all three of these cities, violent crime is up, way up. And none of the governors of the states or the mayors of the cities or any of the politicians are talking about anything but coronavirus, coronavirus, coronavirus. I'm sorry, but there are more pressing issues than a virus with a 99+% survival rate. You got people's lives, you got economies, you got investments, you got businesses. There are other things going on besides this virus that really... I'm drinking my cheap fucking beer here. Ooh, I didn't mean to swear. There are other things going on besides this virus that pretty much only targets people who are already very, very sick. And I am so frustrated with the mismanagement of these dumb-ass dictating politicians. For the last 20 years of my life, I've lived between these three cities, New York, Chicago, and LA. I like them. I love them. They're great places. They were great places. They have their downsides, obviously. But the thing that kept people there and the thing that drew people there, the culture, the food, the nightlife, the social experiences, they've all been shut down. And what these dumb-ass politicians don't realize is that that's really the only draw to these places. The reason people move to the big cities is because, yeah, they're going to pay more for a smaller place to live, but they're going to get to go out every night to restaurants, eat new kinds of cuisine. They're going to get to see their favorite bands, sports teams, theater. They're going to get to go out and do things. Now it's all shut down. LA, maybe you can get away with the indoor dining ban, but I'm sorry, Chicago and New York, you can't. And that brings me to the first story that I want to talk about. These dumb asses up in Chicago. I lived in Chicago for 10 years. I never thought that I would pray to have Daley back in office. But man, he would have handled this shit like a boss. You've got this dumbass Beetlejuice, Lori Lightfoot, who again, no comments on the rioting, the looting, the murders, all the businesses shutting down, none of that. All she's talking about is this fucking coronavirus. And it's really on the list, on the ranking of dangerous things, the things that are actually ruin that city, coronavirus is not up at the top. I'm sorry, it's not. So they just passed this new indoor dining ban. You know, it was fine for the summer. Yeah, you put the tables out on the sidewalks for the restaurants and people will sit outside and eat. And now, as it's coming into winter, they're actually doubling down on the ban. In fact, they actually instituted a rule that, in these restaurants, even here where I live in Indianapolis now, which isn't that much better as far as the ridiculous, moronic government leadership that we have here. It's not that much better. But in Chicago, they instituted a rule where, okay, first of all, not only, so you have to wear your mask when you enter the restaurant, and then you can sit down at your table and take it off, which is so fucking dumb. Okay, if a virus is that deadly, you shouldn't be out eating. But the fact is, it's not that deadly. Anyway, but what Illinois did, they took it one step stupider, and they said, okay, you have to put your mask on between bites. Like if you're sitting at a table, you have to wear the mask, pull it down, take a bite of food, put it back up. That's ridiculous. Oh my God. The reason people go out to eat at restaurants is because it's a nice experience where you don't have to mess around with all this crap. You just sit down, you place your order, the food comes, you pay, you leave, whatever. You have a nice conversation. You enjoy not having to cook or do the dishes or whatever. Think about what you're going to eat. You just go, and it's nice and it's easy. But putting all these stupid restrictions on people, it just takes the magic and the joy out of going out to eat at a restaurant. And the fact that now you have to like wear the mask at your table. And I can't stand people who, like newscasters or people who talk through their mask. I'm sorry, if you're like a newscaster, take the fucking mask off, dummy. You can set up your camera 6 feet away from other people. I can't stand when people talk to the mask. Okay. But anyway, Illinois took it one step further. Now, the city government, they put out some prize money. They said anyone who can figure out a way that we can have outdoor dining in the winter is going to get thousands of dollars in prize money. Well, somebody did come up with the solution or whatever it is, and guess what it was? A tent! They said, let's build a tent on the sidewalk. A tent is indoors, you fucking idiots. Just like, literally, they put up a tent on the fucking sidewalk, and now they're calling that outdoor dining. It's not outdoor dining. If you're going to go to that length, just open up the indoor dining. And my whole fucking take on this whole thing is, if you're worried about getting sick, if you're at risk of getting sick, it's up to you to stay home. It is not up to everybody else to disrupt their entire existence because 0.004% of the population is at risk of dying from this disease. It's just so goddamn dumb. And again, what is the point of living in Chicago if you can't go out to eat at a restaurant or watch a sports team or go to a concert or the theater? There is none. And now that there's this skyrocketing crime and the Beetlejuice mayor won't let you have a gun, but she can pull officers to just sit on her street and guard her house. So isn't that great? That's what I really love about anti-gun politicians is they're so quick to say that you can't have a gun, but they get bodyguards that you pay for as a taxpayer. It's ridiculous. You know, I'm a former anti-gun guy. I'm a former leftist Democrat Bernie bro in 2016. But all this stupidity and crap that I've seen lately has turned me into a staunch, I would say, anarchist. I just don't believe that other people have the power to rule you. If you're not out there hurting anyone, it's really no one's business what you do. And no, not wearing a mask doesn't mean you're hurting anyone. If you're at risk of getting sick, stay inside. Okay? If you're scared of getting sick, stay inside. That's it. That's the solution. And nobody wants to come and say this because the government solution will never involve personal responsibility. The government solution will always involve more and more government control. So it's just so blatantly hypocritical that the mayor of Chicago, who won't let you, a resident of Chicago, have a gun, gets her own personal security force. If you want to say people can't have guns, that means everybody can't have guns, including you, gun control politicians. You hypocritical fuckers. New York City, same deal. Just what's the point of living in New York City if there's no culture? If you can't go out and do anything, you have a teeny tiny apartment. You think the apartments in Chicago are small. They're even smaller in LA and way more expensive. And New York City has instituted a rent moratorium where people don't have to pay rent. But what they haven't done is stop collection of property taxes. So you've got building owners with multiple vacancies, which is unheard of in the last 30 years in New York. And they can't pay the bills because they don't have tenants, but the government who's saying, well, renters don't have to pay rent, but landlords do, because what is a property tax but rent? What is a property tax but rent? You don't ever own your property in this country. You rent it from the government because if you don't pay your rent, you're going to get evicted. and it's ridiculous. So what is the point of living in these places if it's all just locked down and over-regulated and bullshit? People are like, and I lived in New York, and the great thing was you could just walk around and meet people, and it was just easy going. And now it's just not. Now it's just everything's hyper-regulated and shitty. Why would you want to live there? And plus the riots and the violence and the unrest. There was a Jews for Trump caravan that went through Brooklyn and Manhattan, Brooklyn, and they had rocks thrown at their cars, eggs thrown at their cars. This just insane hostility and violence. And again, you're not allowed to even own a firearm and protect yourself there. And the cops aren't doing anything. Cops are retiring because they know, and here's another thing that's happening in these big cities, is they are broke. The rich people who can afford to leave left. They already have, if not very, very soon. Same in LA. Joe Rogan left LA. Josh Brolin left LA. Ben Shapiro left LA. Everybody's leaving New York too, and the people who aren't leaving New York are like, wow, blah, blah, blah. No, it's fucking fucked. And it's a shitty place to live, and they're broke. Chicago's going broke. LA is going broke. New York is going broke because these cities only survive by taxing the fuck out of everyone that lives there. And it's whatever, because again, you can go to there and make more money. And that was always a thing. You can go there and make more money because there's certain industries that exist in those cities that don't exist anywhere else. Now they're gone. Now they're shut down. You can work at Amazon. You can work at Starbucks wearing a mask all day. But Broadway's shut down. The restaurants shut down. Everything's shut down. And people don't realize how much, what is it? De Blasio or Cuomo's, one of those wops out in New York, those political bastards, was begging rich people to come back to the city. Why? Why? In New York, they moved a bunch of homeless junkies up to the Upper West Side in a really nice neighborhood because all the hotels in New York are totally screwed, totally empty. And so they said, oh, let's put the homeless people in there because we can't have them in shelters because COVID's so deadly. And so they started putting these registered sex offenders, intravenous drug users, compulsive masturbators up in these neighborhoods. Why would you live there? Why would you pay millions and millions of dollars for a 2 or 3 bedroom townhouse so you can watch a guy masturbating on the sidewalk or get stabbed on your own front stoop? It doesn't make sense. And LA, my lord, California in general is so screwed. Lot of problems going on in LA. The homelessness cannot be overstated, and there's a real problem with that. The LA City Council just tabled a resolution that would force homeless people into certain areas. And I don't know how you deal with that problem. You've got people who've been homeless there for decades. And what do you do with them? If you put them in prison, the taxpayers are going to be paying for them. You could create like a Hamsterdam, like from The Wire, where you just force them all into one area. Then you're going to have massive violent crime, drug overdoses, lack of sanitation, just like down on Skid Row. And Los Angeles has essentially already pushed a lot of the homelessness and mentally ill and the drug crime and whatever into Skid Row. And man, Skid Row is a dangerous place. There was a preacher there a couple years ago. There's a preacher who liked running marathons, right? So he ran a marathon. He got a blister on his foot from running the marathon. He's walking around Skid Row. He steps in human shit. The blister gets infected. They had to cut his leg off. That's how dirty it is down there. It's pretty sketchy. Definitely, I wouldn't recommend going anywhere in LA at night, let alone Skid Row or downtown. So that's a problem that I don't know how they're going to deal with. And you get on Nextdoor. I get on my old Nextdoor account from my old neighborhood when I lived there, and it's every third or fourth post is there's a homeless guy camping out in his car in front of my house. He's taking a shit on the sidewalk. I see him smoking crack or shooting heroin. I call the cops. They won't do anything. And the weird thing is, it's, you get like these 80 comment responses on those posts. People are like, "Whoa, why don't you offer him food?" or blah, blah, blah. Jesus Christ, it's extremely dangerous. You don't want that. You don't want that. If you want a homeless guy shitting on your sidewalk and doing intravenous drugs, if you're okay with that, invite him over. Let him camp in your yard. But I guarantee you, you're not. And neither are any of those rich politicians in California who claim to care so much about the homeless. Also in Cali, in LA, film industry shut down. Concerts are shut down. Restaurants are shut down. Schools are shut down, which is insane. I got the article here. LA employs 26,000 teachers. And that's even more administrators, janitors, librarians, whoever else works for that god-awful institution. And they're paying these people. LA is also facing a $600 million tax shortfall because everything's closed. No one's filming. No restaurants are open. No bars are selling alcohol. No concert tickets are open. No concerts are being held. So it's like they're continuing to pay these public employees, and they're shutting down all the private businesses, which is their only stream of revenue. And I wonder, what is the plan? They can't be that stupid. Like, they're detestable for sure, these politicians, but they can't be that dumb. They must understand the basics. And I'm no lover of Republicans by any means, but my God, these big city Democrat governments are just so beholden to public sector unions, and they're just so corrupt that they just must be, it must be like a Ponzi scheme where they're just raking in the money they can and they're just going to bounce when it's too late. Because what do they think is going on? And why don't they have the fucking cojones to just say, hey, if you're worried about getting sick, stay home. Everyone else, get back on with life. I'm gonna have to chew on that. But I don't believe that they can be that stupid. It just must be some Ponzi scheme, corruption, nonsense. And it's a shame. And I think these big cities are going to just turn into, I don't know what's going to happen, but like, I don't even know if like Detroit would be an accurate comparison. Because again, all the rich people who can afford to leave are going to leave. Why would you live in a city? Why would you live in a city where there's no cultural attractions if you can afford to leave? And no small businesses are going to open there, and no artists are going to go there. Why would you open a small business in one of these big cities? It's hard enough already, expensive enough already. But now you're just at risk of at any time some illness could come along and you just be shut down indefinitely. Why would you do it? Why would you take that risk? No one will. And so I just wonder, are these big cities just going to become like the suburbs of the 1990s where it's nothing but Panda Express and McDonald's and Burger King? Or is it going to be like Detroit where there's just, it's just all black market. It's just burned out. Because Detroit was, like, you see those mansions, those decrepit old mansions. And I think, you think about California and you're like, that could never happen. But think about the mansions in California. Well, why would you want to live way up in the hills, paying some overpriced, paying an overpriced rate to live there, when there's really nothing to do? The weather's not that nice in California. People are like, oh, well, LA has nice weather. It's not nice. It's hot as fuck. 9 months out of the year, it's fucking hot, and it's not nice. unless you live right on the beach, which you either have to be a millionaire or homeless to live on the beach. Probably actually a billionaire to live on the beach. So it just makes me wonder about the future of these cities. It makes me glad I got out when I did. I got out about a month before the lockdowns hit. Just coincidentally, I didn't know it was going to hit. I just was sick of it. The other thing in California, this Prop 22 that's going through, trying to shut down Uber and Lyft. Oh yeah, I want to rail on California a little bit more. This Prop 22 where they want to make Uber and Lyft drivers employees, it's going to fucking decimate those industries and fuck over poor people. A lot of people who take Lyft do it because they can't afford a car. And if you want to destroy that business model, it's going to jack the rates up a lot. And again, a lot of poor people depend on Lyft to get around. Also, Gavin Newsom, who's just a complete tool, banned gas cars by 2035 or something. I don't know what the year is, but really, you guys, you got rolling brownouts. You can't even power homes. How are you going to power vehicles on an electric grid? And that's the other stupid thing. It's not like your electric grid is clean. The electricity still comes from coal burning plants. So just because the cars aren't burning petroleum doesn't mean that they're not powered by burning petroleum. And the third fucking boner that Gavin Newsom pulled was his stupid Thanksgiving regulations, where you can only have 3. It's, all these politicians, they're just these little micromanagey things of well, if you want to socialize or get together with friends and family, you can, but you have to stay 6 feet apart, no more than 10 people, and there has to be a window open, or you have to be outside. It's fuck you. You're supposed to be the public servant. You are supposed to help me. You're not a dictator. You don't tell us what to do, especially with something as stupid and fucking innocuous as a virus with a 99.7% survival rate. So, Jesus Christ. I'm just so sick of all this fucking crap. And Halloween's coming up, and so it's oh yeah, you have to have you seen the picture where someone's got a long tube and you have to drop the candy in the tube and it slides down into the kid's little jack-o'-lantern pail or whatever. It's safe Halloween. It's insane. I'm so sick of this micromanaging of people's fucking day-to-day actions. And it never ends. It's never going to. And I don't see an end in sight. I was just looking here in the lovely scenic city of Indianapolis where I live. They said hospital rates are flat at 8.4% at hospital admission, or 8.4 per day. 8.4 admissions per day. So we flattened the curve. The curve has been flattened. 8 admissions per day. And the newspaper article, of course, it doesn't say if those were because people thought they had coronavirus or they broke their fucking leg, or if they're in Indianapolis, they got shot. Because we're at 201 homicides at the time of this recording, and our fucking worthless hog shit mayor can't find anything to talk about but wear a mask, wear a mask, wear a mask, wear a mask. Fucking cunt. Fuck you. So there's no honesty in any of this reporting. I did want to focus kind of on the cities and the tough fucking shit they're going through right now. But my God, this virus, and all these headlines are just fake. They're talking about cases. Well, first of all, these tests aren't actually that reliable. Second of all, you're not giving us deaths per case or deaths per age bracket or deaths per pre-existing condition. You're just saying cases are rising, and that's a bad thing. Well, fucking people are getting tested, you dumb fuck. So cases are gonna rise. But the fact that deaths aren't skyrocketing, even though more people are getting tested, that's a good thing. Anyway, to all my friends out there in New York, LA, and Chicago, I hope you guys can get out before it gets any stupider. Before they lock you down like they do in Paris and Melbourne. I don't know if you saw in the news. It's other countries, and I only care about the U.S. USA #1. No, I'm just kidding. But like Paris, people are fleeing. There's these huge traffic jams because they're going to lock it down. And once they lock you down, you're fucked. You've seen this shit in Melbourne where they're pulling people out of their homes for like posting shit on Facebook against the virus. It's, that's a topic for a whole nother episode, and I'm running out of time here. I want to keep it keep it right around 25 minutes, which I'm already over. But anyway, keep it real, people, and I'll see you next time. Bye.